What's up, everybody? And as you can see, I'm still pretty burnt. Doesn't hurt as much, but still pretty burnt. And in my last video, which was going over a Mirage T-side default, somebody in the comments was like, hey, I'm a new IGL, can you give any sort of tips for just getting into calling? And fair warning, I'm not some IGL savant even. I know smokes, I understand how to play mid-game. Late game's a bit challenging for me, so I'm in no way perfect. And yes, that's my aim lock right there, also known as my mouse pushing back. But so this is just very This is just very preliminary, basic if you're just starting a team. It doesn't even have to be like a third-party ESEA face-it team, just like a matchmaking team that you all with your friends and you want to start being an IGL. So a lot of things that I find, well, I see young IGLs doing that it's just not good. It's at the start of a round. Let's say the round is just starting and you're saying, all right, we're going to do an A execute at 1:30. All right, so everybody gets up in their smoke spots. That's not a smoke spot, that's a smoke spot. So everybody's like in their smoke spots ready to go. It's 1:30. You throw your smokes, you run out, they throw a molly. You all get slowed down a bit, probably get stuck up on here. Maybe if you guys have better aim than the enemies, you take sight and you get bombed down, and that's the round. Okay, that's not going to work in higher levels. It's not a good habit to develop of calling, and I never really understood that sort of calling of just like going right into an execute, because it's kind of pointless, and you're not really calling at that point. You're just, should we go A or B this round? Let's go A. And that it's the most of the time it happens on a map like Mirage, where executes are powerful, and at a not early, but a lower level, they're a bit more powerful than other maps, because if the smokes are down, the CTs don't really know how to counter that or to use their grenades properly. So on a map like Inferno, you're not gonna see people say, all right, let's do an A execute. First off, nobody knows the smokes on Inferno. Second off, that's just not a thing. Nobody knows what to do in that situation. Mirage, everybody really knows what to do. So you don't want to do that as an IGL. Just, all right, we're gonna rush B this time. That's, it's a meme, but most of the time somebody will call like a contact B, which isn't that bad because you're pushing in quickly. Even though like you're walking like here, you're still like slowly moving up, getting more and more ground, and just working off of the first contact. So that's all right. But for like an execute where you have people just like standing out here with smokes, because I can guarantee that somebody's just gonna be like this, waiting until like 1:33 to throw it at 1:35. Okay, well, no, it's to throw it at 1:30. Sorry, that's not good. What you really want to do, and what you want to get your team in the habit to start doing, so because your team's probably not going to stay together, to be honest, but it just helps prepare everybody for future teams, is just saying, all right, we're going to run a basic default. Okay, you don't even have to get any map control at the default. If you run a 2-1-2, so if you have one guy in Palace, preferably holding like back here, maybe like an off angle here so he can hear if somebody's running up A, and then you have one guy ramp, like crouched here waiting for a push. You have one guy mid, that's not mid, mid like waiting for a push here, some sort of like off angle to get their necks. So like here, that would be good. One person underpass who can even get like underpass control. This is one of the places you can have a bit more freedom. That's a horrible flash, but even getting like a bit of control, or waiting here, something, and then one guy in apps holding for a push. This would be the most like basic of basic defaults, because everybody has their own job and nobody's really working together. There's no sort of like let's get mid control or something like that. There's none of that. This is the most basic default there is. So doing something like this, saying, hey, if we don't get any picks or any like key information by a minute 10, then everybody come back and move towards A, and we can do an A execute off of that. That's something that you would want to look into instead of just doing an A execute right off the bat. But then it's not just that easy, because like, what if you do get information? What if somebody gets a pick? You have to have some understanding of what to do and some sort of plan for what would happen later in the round. So let's say somebody's holding apps and one person rushes in and he gets the kill. Do you want him to immediately take that ground because you know the other guy is going to most likely be cat, and get out and like wait here, and have the underpass guy come up? Do you want him to throw some flashes or something to fake out a push? That's bad flash again. To fake out a push and have the people the mid guy fall back towards A and just mess with the CT rotates. There's just a lot of thinking that can be done, and there's no like proper way to IGL. I like to stick to Mirage, as you can see. 90% of my videos are on Mirage. I like to stick to it just because there's so many different options and so many different ways you can abuse the CTs from the T side. And there's just so many different ways you can play out around. But you have to find, as an IGL, you have to find a map that you're very comfortable with, and just do some sort of baseline default. You don't want to just jump into an execute, because, for example, okay, let's say you're at a lower level and the executes are working because the CTs don't know how to use counter nades, and you guys have better aim than them, okay? So then you jump into a bit of a higher level game. The problem with executing, let's say you want to execute it like a minute 20, okay? And you're going to have your 3 smokes down, 1 CT, 1 stairs, and 1 jungle, okay? And everybody is either in ramp or palace, and they're all just waiting here. All right, there's a couple huge problems with that. One, you don't know if it's an A stack. You don't know if it's a B stack. You don't know how much mid control that they have because you have nobody out here. You don't know if they've pushed all the way through apps and they know that nobody's B, or let's say they had more realistically, they had an underpass push, okay? And the guy's slowly walking up. He's like, all right, cat guy, you can rotate mid, cover my mid, and then he clears this out, and he's like, okay, apps is clear, stack A. And he can just wait right here and have how do I can't open up the map, but have the 2 B players rotate over to A, and now you have 4 players on A, and this guy's here, okay? You have no idea if any of that's going on. Also, some guy could push up through mid and catch one of you off guard while you're lining up a smoke, okay? That's one thing. With the default, you can get map control. The other objective sorry, I got a text. Other objective with the default is to bait out utility. If, for example, the B players hear somebody coming in apps, they'll probably smoke it off, or they'll throw a molly or a flash or a nade or something. They're going to use their utility fast. If you're all just stacked here, the B players have no reason to use their utility. The A players so far have not had a reason to use their utility unless you put out a bait or something. I don't know. But the problem with that isn't just post-plant, but it's actually trying to get out onto site. So let's say you start executing, you put a smoke down, another smoke down, pretend that smoke is good. You have all these smokes down, okay? All the CT player has to do is, like, once he sees the smokes coming in, because you can actually, like, see these smokes coming in and they don't pop immediately, they bounce. If he throws a molly like that, that slows down the entire rush. Yes, you're gonna have some players getting out on like Tetris or something, but they're just gonna stay there and bait out the other players, guaranteed. So they could, like, just a molly could completely stop a rush. By the time the molly disappears, the smokes are already halved. His other teammate potentially could throw another molly, but it probably won't. Let's say the molly goes off and you guys get out. The smokes are still down. There's about like 5-6 seconds left on the smokes. That means you all have to sprint across the site. You don't really have time to check all the angles because the smoke jungle and smoke CTA are going to disappear by then. And this is also not including that all the B players who potentially could have already rotated over also have all of their utility. So the entire point of a default is to hold map control, make sure that there's no pushes, and bait out utility so it's easier to take a site when you decide to. I hope that this has helped inform you in some way, open up a different way of thinking, and please don't just call Rushby.